So hello everyone, I decided to upload this video to YouTube because Moodle was giving me issues when I was trying to record, so I hope you're able to find the link and it works for you, and talk to me down below. So today I'm going to be talking about agropastoralism as discussed by Crane in this week's reading. So according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, agropastoralism is defined as, quote, a way of life or a form of social organization based on the growing of crops and raising of livestock as a primary means of economic activity, end quote. So the reading focuses on two different types of agropastoralism, called Marca agropastoralism and Fulani agropastoralism. So he essentially applies the concept of agropastoralism to two different cultural contexts. As he explains, Marca people are agriculturalists, quote, through a particular historical pathway that has affected the cultural experience of social ecological resilience, end quote. The Marca people were farmers and traders without any forms of farming technology until the ox plow was introduced to them in the mid-1900s. Once the plow was introduced, more food was created, but more importantly, animals became domesticated and livestock became the essential part of their agropastoral system. As a result, the Marca people were integrated into the market. The author argues, although the technical transformations of the Marca agroecological system have precipitated subtle changes in labor organization, household economies, and land management, none of this has crossed over any thresholds which are amicably characterized as resetting their cultural system to a new baseline state, end quote. So essentially, the Marca people still identify as farmers and view their changes in agriculture as successes, and therefore, Crane says that they have not lost their culture. So the Fulani people are also agropastoralists since they have combined herding with farming as technology has advanced. And according to Crane, the distinction between these two types of pastoralism is that the Fulani people's, quote, practice of agropastoralism, as well as the historical trajectory by which they arrived at it, is entirely different than the Marcas. Subsequently, agropastoralism has integrated with their cultural system in ways that carry different social meanings and promote different behavioral responses, end quote. So the Fulani people were always known for being transhuman cattle herders, and according to Crane, quote, transhumance is a culturally revered way of life and is central to social institution around which household and cultural practices have historically been organized, end quote. So the Fulani made their living by selling dairy products and through the agriculture that their slaves maintained, although herding was always the main pastoral practice for them. However, due to the droughts in the late 20th century and more, they were forced to sedentarize, so they had to stay in place, which they were not used to because they were herders. And Crane writes, quote, even where agropastoralism may be technically adaptive, decreasing vulnerability to climate shocks and the food insecurity, from within normative Fulani cultural logic, the increasing institutionalization of agropastoral practices represents a lack of resilience and a fundamental transformation of the cultural system to new and stable state that is characterized as less desirable, end quote. So therefore, the argument is that the Fulani had lost their culture because of their shift to manual labor and because the Fulani people view this as a failure since they now have to do the slave work themselves, which they never had to do. It's fundamentally different for them. So my discussion question for you all is, if we accept Crane's premise that culture is dependent on maintaining our history through socio-ecological means, then what does it mean for other cultures today? Which I guess your answer will be dependent on your subjective definition of culture, because culture is very different for everyone. But personally, I don't think that I agree with Crane's implied definition of culture, because I grew up believing that culture is change. Culture does not ruin change. Culture does not damage change, but culture is change. For example, my great-grandfather once owned a chicken farm in Puerto Rico in a rural village of other Puerto Rican farmers. And a century later, I'm living in urban Westchester, and I like to garden. So, but just because we have these differences now doesn't mean that I am any less Puerto Rican than my great-grandfather was. It just means that we share the same culture, but we experience culture in different socio-ecological contexts. So let me know if I need to explain anything further. Let me hear your thoughts down below, and I hope you all stay happy and healthy. Goodbye.